All right, good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, honored guests. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone joining us today for this Facts Behind the Figures presentation by PZ Cussons. It is great to have everyone today. My name is Ayomide Oguntoye. Very quickly, I have just a few exercise for us. Perhaps you are sitting behind and there is an empty seat in front of you. Could you please make adjustments such that we'll make seats for the people that would come in after on in the course of the event? Anyone? Anyone? I'm looking at you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, shall we please fix our eyes to the screen to observe the safety video and then the housekeeping rules, and we will kickstart the event very quickly. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nigerian Exchange Group Event Center. At Nigerian Exchange Group, your comfort and safety is our priority. As part of our health and safety policy, please listen to the following announcement. For your convenience, the restrooms are located to your right, just outside the door of this event hall. In the unlikely event of an emergency, 2 exits have been provided for your use. A stairway that you can access from the lift lobby just before you enter the event center. Another emergency exit is located right behind the stage's backdrop. The door can be opened by pushing the handle. Please do not use the elevators during an emergency. Rather, locate the nearest exit from where you are sitting in a calm and orderly fashion. Emergency responders will also be available to provide additional instructions as required. Please switch off your cell phones or activate the silent function so we don't interrupt the proceedings here today. Once again, welcome, and do enjoy your stay at Nigerian Exchange Group.
Again, thank you all for joining us today. We're gathered together for the Facts Behind the Figures presentation by PZ Cussons Plc, as they let us in on their financial performance and as well as their strategic growth plans for the future. Let me quickly recognize the people on the I table. From the management of the NGX, please make welcome with me the Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Exchange Limited, Mr. Jude Chiemeka. Thank you. We also have the Chief Executive Officer, NGX Regulation Limited, Mr. Femi Shobanjo. Next to him is the Team Lead Primary Market, Ms. Evie Dimao Koje. And the Doyen of the Market, Mr. Sam Ondata. From the management of the PZ Cussons Plc, we have the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Dimitris Kostianis. Next to him is the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Ebenezer Elushaki. Thank you. And then the Company Secretary of ALSEC Nominees Limited, represented by Mrs. Olubukola Onolade Agaga, and the Commercial Director Electrical, Mr. Raj Kumar Kale. Thank you very much. Also joining us today is the Director, NGX Limited, Mr. Dr. Farouk Umar. Thank you. Representing the CEO of CSCS is the Company Secretary, Mr. Charles Ojo. We also have joining us today the Chief Executive of Stanbic IBT Stockbrokers Limited, Mrs. Bumi Olarioye. Thank you. Thank you very much. We also have the Supply Chain Director from PZ Cussons, Mr. Ifeanyi Chukwu Abadan. Thank you. Next is Malam Mohamed Tahir, the Corporate and External Affairs Lead. Is he here? Thank you. Next is Ms. Temitope Oluwatosin, the Head of Legal. Thank you. We have Ms. Ogochukwu Onyekwelu, the Legal Counsel. Is she here? We also have Honorable Bright Nwabugolu, the Member Statutory Audit Committee. Thank you for joining us. And last but not the least is Mr. Robert Ibekwe, the Member Statutory Audit Committee. Thank you for joining us today. Very quickly, Okay, we also have here Mr. Shegun Weye, Member Statutory Audit Committee. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome with me the CEO of Nigerian Exchange Limited, Mr. Juchi Emeka, for his welcome address. Thank you.
Thank you. The Doyen, city gentlemen, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by welcoming you to this Fast Behind the Figures by PZ Cussons Nigeria PLC. So on behalf of the board and management of NGX Limited, I'd like to welcome you to this event. At the NGX, we're committed to creating a platform for our listed corporates to be able to take advantage and provide information to the market stakeholders. We do recognize that information is really what drives the market. PZ Cussons Nigeria PLC has been listed on our exchange since 1972. And I think they deserve a round of applause. And they really have done significantly well to still be listed on our exchange, given the level of compliance that we have and the level of structure that exchange runs from time to time. You can see how we're using technology to upgrade our processes and policies. And for them to remain listed just shows also their commitment to good corporate governance, their commitment to transparency, but beyond that, a very resilient and good performing company. In 2023, they posted a profit of before tax of 20 billion naira. And that same year, they were able to distribute dividends to shareholders, some of whom are here, of 4 billion naira. And they pay taxes to the federal government of 6 billion naira. So they're really an integral part of the Nigerian economy, helping the government to create jobs for many of our youths by employing so many people. Now, the company is also part of a major consumer goods sector, which is really significant for the Nigerian economy. That sector is, for 2023, was 4.35 trillion naira of our gross domestic product. And that's about 7% of the GDP of Nigeria. And that just demonstrates the contribution of the sector to the economy. Bringing it back home to our market, that sector is really one of the many sectors that we take delight in. So if you look at the value of trades that occurred in our market between 2021 Monday figures of 2025, the market has traded 7 trillion naira. And that sector has contributed 835 billion naira. Which is 12% roughly of the total value of secondary market trades. To put it in perspective, last year, the market traded 2.85 trillion naira in terms of the value of secondary market trade, which was up 59% from what we traded the year before, which was 1.79 trillion naira. So this sector continues to contribute to the overall well-being of the Nigerian economy. And if you think about their contribution by way of taxes to the federal government, 2023 alone, the entire sector contributed 603 billion naira by way of taxes alone to the federal government. And if you then look at dividends distributed between 2001 and 2004, the sector has distributed dividend of 603 billion naira. These are significant figures because if you realize that the dividends that they pay is also subject to dividend tax or capital gains tax for those that have shares that also sell their shares. So by and large, this sector really makes a significant contribution to the market. Then you don't wonder what is then required from the federal government, from the exchange, to continue to support this sector. And this is where the advocacy really comes to play. They will certainly need power. They will need infrastructure, just like so many of the consumer goods company. And they will certainly need, in the era of brain drain, capacity building for the ones that are left. And so that's where the NGX comes in. So we've created a pipeline of the ability for corporates to be able to raise capital from our market, so they will be able to raise capital to fund their operations. We've also created an infrastructure fund methodology that will allow companies like PZ to be able to enjoy the benefits of infrastructure that will be derived from utilization of these funds. And so if you think about other instruments we've created, we're a multi-asset exchange, so we've created means of capital raise, both from the government side and also from other corporates, to be able to assess our market and meet all their funding gaps. So from the federal government, we've created the non-interest Islamic pipeline by way of Sukuk, and the government, since that started, have raised almost ₦1 trillion from Sukuk alone, which they have used to refurbish the roads, which will also help facilitate production and ease of transportation within the Nigerian domestic economy. So by and large, we think on the advocacy side, there's really need for the government to begin to look more closely at these sectors because of the contribution that they make, especially in the areas of tax incentives and trying to reduce levies associated with companies that are really adding to the productive base of the economy. And so that's why it's important to just reiterate what we already know, that they need infrastructural support, and we will continue to support them from the NGX side to make sure that they have access to all the funding that they require. Perhaps that's one of the reasons that are here as well, and we'll get to hear from them what their challenges are and how we can interface and assist to meet all those challenges. But it's clear that NGX continues to be a viable platform, helping corporates such as PZ, banks to recapitalize and raise capital. So last year alone, we were able to facilitate 7.4 trillion naira utilizing different asset classes that we have at the exchange. And this is part of our commitment to the growth and development of the Nigerian economy. So that said, I do not want to take a lot of time because I believe that PZ Cussons, from the preparation of the MD since yesterday, I know that he has quite a lot to reveal to the market. So we're looking forward to an interactive session. Let me also take time to acknowledge those that are joining us online. This is a digital age, and that's part of the commitment we have made at the NGX to have multiple channels that we can be reached. So as we're here physically, we do have multiple channels by which a lot of stakeholders can reach and participate in our events. Thank you so much, and we look forward to well-rounded, robust engagement this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now to hear from the PZ Cussons side. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome the CEO of PZ Cussons, Mr. Dimitris Kostianis.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for making time to be here with us today, and we really appreciate, because you have other things to do, but you do value PZ Cussons and interacting with us this afternoon. First and foremost, I would like to thank the NGX team and organization for providing the support and making this event possible today. We are grateful for your support over the years, and particularly today, because it gives us the opportunity to interact in a very open, transparent, and engaged manner. So thank you, sir, for that. My name is Dimitris Kostianis. I'm the CEO of PZ Cussons Nigeria. I've been on the role since June 2023. With PZ Cussons, I'm coming to 30 years in September 2025. So back in my village, we say one wife, one job. So this is pretty much applies to myself at this moment in time. My professional life has been mostly in Sub-Saharan Africa, out of which in Nigeria I have spent more than 10 years. Different parts of my career or professional development. The very first one being as a young student out of university, PZ sending me over to Ikorodu and Aba to spend 2 months every summer to familiarize myself. And every single week and year I have spent in Nigeria is extremely valuable to myself and to my family that I always had with me while I've been in Nigeria. So I'm always thankful to the country and the people in Nigeria for helping me to grow and develop as well in many ways. I would like to acknowledge a couple of, two groups of people, if I may, just for a second. So with me today, I have a number of colleagues from PZ Cussons, an associate of ours, through ALSEC and First Registers. So they have worked tirelessly to also prepare the material and be here today to interact with yourselves. So first of all, I would like to thank them. If you have a round of applause, please. And the second one I would like to thank is our board of directors. They were unable to join us today. They are extending their thanks and gratitude to each one of you, and we have liked to be, but we'll definitely be in touch with them and give them the output of this meeting. So our chair lady, Mrs. Ifueko Omogwe Okoaru, and our board directors, Mrs. Toyi Nodutayo, Mrs. Joyce Cocker, Malam Manu, Dr. Danusa, and Mr. Karim. So I would like to thank them, and if you please give them a round of applause. So let's talk a little bit more about PZ Cussons in Nigeria. So in 2024, PZ Cussons Nigeria had its birthday of 125 years in Nigeria. 125 years. And for any business, and that applies to PZ Cussons, of course, and so many others that can be in any country for that period of time, it means that they are resilient, they are robust, and they withstand the test of time. So I think that can only happen because of the support of each one of you and the generations before us, be it working for PZ Cussons or just being within the ecosystem of PZ Cussons. So we are thankful to everybody for helping us to achieve that. What we have prepared in our presentation, in our material today is, I think as our NGX CEO indicated, we are looking to have an engaged session with yourselves. We have some material that will be our presentation, and then thereafter we'll have our Q&A. We believe we'll be able to address all the questions you might have, but equally, if there are some questions that we'll not be able to address today, we'll come back to you with the help of NGX and ALSEC to be able to give the responses to your questions. So 125 years in Nigeria, and before I move to one of our growth engines, which is our branch and our commercial capability, I'll say a little bit about our operations because some of you might be familiar, but some others may not be as familiar. So at this moment in time, we have 2 manufacturing sites. Actually, it will be 3 manufacturing sites across the country. One of them being in Aba, where we continue manufacturing our soaps. One of them will be in Lupeju, where we assemble our white goods, consumer appliances, and one of them will be at Ikorodu, where we manufacture some of our personal care, home care products, or as we define them in the new categories, baby, hygiene, and beauty. The route-to-market model over the years has changed significantly, and this is in line with what other distributors and manufacturers would do in Nigeria. So some of you may recall in the older days, we may have had a number of depots across the country, so whereby stock from the manufacturing site will be moved to the depots, and then we leave it for the customers within that location to do it. Over the years, this model has changed because it became important that the trade partners become active in selling. What do we mean by active in selling is they need to have their own sales team to be able to cover what we describe as retail universe, would be stores, smaller size or bigger size. So as a result of that, instead of having, I believe there was a time we had 26 depots plus Abuja around the country, we moved to 3 big regional distribution centers, one of them being in Onitsha, which is helping us with the distribution in that part of the country, one of them being out of Ilupejo and Ikorodu, depending on the category we have, and the last one being in Abuja, which is helping us with areas like the Middle Belt and the North. And supporting and connected to those 3 distribution centers, we have approximately, on the family care side, 100 key distributors who have been given a territory within the country and is within for themselves with their salesmen and their vans and on any other support on the ground to cover for us that area and service the customers in that area. And on the consumer appliance side, electricals as we describe them, we have a number of different channels that we exploit in, the key one of those being our exclusive showrooms, which is approximately 70 across the country. So that's how PZ Cussons is today. But before I hand over to Ebenezer, who will take you some of the other part of the presentation, I'll talk to you a little bit about, as I said, the engine growth for us, which is the commercial capability in our brands. And I will, again, for the benefit of engagement, our CEO, if you allow me, I will try to do something might not be very conventional, so apologies up front. So we can do a little bit of a quiz with each one of you, and then actually my first question was going to be, which year was PZ Cussons listed in NGX? So my CEO has already given that answer, so I cannot ask that question. So it's 1972, and the reason I was going to mention is just to show you the journey of this business from 1899 in Nigeria, 125 years, to more than 50 years in the stock exchange as it was back then, the NGX as it is now. So it just shows the resilience and the continuity in the business that we want to have in Nigeria. Now, I'll come to the brands part, and some of you might be more favorable to answer this question. So I'll speak about 3 TV commercials. And the significance of the 70s is, as some of you may know or may have heard, is a lot of innovation came in the consumer markets, in the consumer goods market. A lot of TV commercials, iconic TV commercials came out on those days, and of course, that continued into the 80s, the 90s, and the years ahead. So, quiz number 1, and I'll pick whoever I think has put their hand up first, so please be ready. I'll give you some hints, then it's for you to pick what is the brand. So, in the TV commercials for this brand, what can you see? You can see predominantly men being distracted, falling over, tripping over, when a young lady walks past them. Any idea what wait, hands up. So the gentleman there. Sir, would you mind, no, the gentleman in the front with the gray hair and the glass. So if you would like to identify yourself, and then you can tell us your answer, please.
Joy Soup.
And your name, please.
Nona Au.
That's correct. Joy Soap. And the tagline was, if you say, the Joy Girl. The Joy Girl. And Joy Soap, over the decades to follow, gained significant popularity and penetration across Nigeria with that. Quiz number 2. You will not participate in the second one. I will give opportunity to other people as well. Quiz number 2. So again, in this TV commercial, young and old people, men and women, we reach out for this product for rapid relief. The gentleman in the front. Your name first, please.
My name is Rob.
Rob, that's correct. No, everybody has opportunity. It's not decided. It's public information. It's public information. So Rob, again, leading brand in the subcategory for a long period in Nigeria, known through ointment and inhaler predominantly, and with high seasonality around the cold season and Harmattan. Quiz number 3, and this is the final one. In this TV commercial, visualize the kitchen area. There is a lot of happiness there and joy because the ladies there say, a little goes a long way. The gentleman at the back with the hand to the tie, please.
Money Fresh.
Money Fresh, that's correct. So Money Fresh is the leading brand in dishwash. Thank you very much, sir. It's the best product for grease cutting. And we know that when we use a lot of red palm oil, we have a lot of things to clean up, right, afterwards. So my apologies for taking a few minutes. I just wanted to demonstrate with those, three, let's say, simple examples, how strong the portfolio of PZ Cussons has been over the years, and how well it resonates with, I would say, all the generations of Nigeria, and is behind this portfolio that we continue investing, and we are looking forward, to this portfolio continue helping the growth of the business. So, in my part of the presentation, if please, can you put it up? So, within PZ Cussons, we are operating in 4 categories. This is baby, beauty, hygiene, and electricals. We have selected these categories. We believe that they can deliver significant value to ourselves. They have significant growth prospect, both from a revenue point of view, as well as margin profitability point of view. And equally important, these are categories where we believe, as PZ Cussons, because of our brand portfolio, because of our commercial capability and operational setup, we have the right to win and be able to be #1 brand in Nigeria across those categories. So these are the ones we have selected. You may recognize some of the brands I have on the slide, and obviously some of the brands we have just spoken about. So within hygiene, over and above Premier, we have brands like Canu, we have brands like Imperial Leather, which is mainly our other soaps that we manufacture in Aba. In Cussons Baby, in Baby, we have only Cussons Baby, but Cussons Baby itself is available in a number of subcategories: oil, lotion, soap, wipes. In beauty, we have some of the beautiful brands, I would say, that over the years have been present again in Nigeria. So a number of you might remember what we used to describe at the time as Venus de Milo, and over the years has evolved to be Venus, but also Stella. Again, a product that has possibly some regional appeal, but also helps us to generate significant revenue from exports to neighboring countries. And finally, on electricals, we have a brand that, again, similar to what we said earlier about being 50 years in the stock exchange, it has also been 50 years in the stock exchange, and again, a very iconic TV commercial of a refrigerator that we introduced in the 70s, and this is Thermocool back then, higher Thermocool at present. And it is our leading brand in electricals, with a particular presence in freezers, refrigerators, ACs, and washing machines. So, very robust portfolio where we are always aiming to bring the best of the outside world in the country, but also make that innovation relevant for the consumers in Nigeria. Before I hand over to Ebenezer, I have included 3 TV commercials, one for Premier Cool, to show you the involvement of Premier Cool with International Men's Day. One with Cussons Baby, to show you how in the hospital program we are supporting babies and moms. And finally, High Thermocool with the innovation made outside Nigeria but adapted to Nigeria, inverted technology innovation to help save consumption of energy and help save energy cost for the Nigerian family. So please enjoy, and thank you very much.
As we celebrate International Men's Day, here's my challenge to you today. Think about the man or men that have inspired you. Share your story. Premier Cool wants to celebrate them. Tell your story on Instagram or X. Tag Premier Cool NG and Illusionam with the hashtag Men That Inspire. And you could win those men 100,000 naira. Get creative and let them know just how much he means to you.
Why the Cussons Baby Care's hospital program makes a difference. There are lots of takers, at least there are lots of new things. My first time coming for the antenatal session.
And after we wash the baby's body, you wrap with towel immediately.
What stood out for me was the part where she was talking about the bathing of a baby, because honestly, I had no idea at all.
With over 50 years of serving Nigerian mums with their baby skincare needs, we have used this initiative to reach millions of mums, empowering them with the knowledge and confidence they need to get it right with their baby's skin from day one. It's a community of support where you're never alone.
This year, alongside our brand ambassadors, Chef T and Baby T, we're visiting hospitals across Nigeria, giving grants of up to 500,000 naira. Not afford to pay their own medical bills.
Has entered red.
Why are you turning off everything? First it was the car, and now the freezer.
My dear sister, with the rise in cost of food, electricity tariff, and every other thing, it is only smart for me to manage my electricity consumptions. You know why? The freezer consumes.
Babe, switch to the smart way with higher thermocool inverter freezer. The 50% electricity saver.
Wow! 50%?
So you don't have to always turn off all your appliances, especially your freezer.
Enjoy 50% electricity savings with higher thermocool inverter freezers.
My electricity saver, my pocket saver.
Higher thermocool, always there for you.
Good afternoon, everyone. And once again, thank you very much for making out the time to be here to interact and engage with PZ Cussons Nigeria PLC. My name is Ebenezer Elushakin, and just like Dimitri, I'll do a brief introduction of myself. I joined the company about 12 weeks ago. And before that, I was CFO at Eat and Go Nigeria Limited, the franchise owners for Domino's International and Cold Stone across different countries in Africa. Prior to Eat and Go, I was the CFO at Evercare Hospitals Lekki. That's an investment of the Texas Pacific Group, backed by LPs like the International Finance Corporation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Proparco, Royal Philips, and British International Investments. Prior to Evercare, I was CFO at Zola Electric, which is a renewable energy company operating across different countries in Africa. My task this afternoon is very simple. I'm going to pick up from where Dimitri stopped. He has introduced us to some of the brands that we love so much, tracing the journey from several decades up until now. In the interest of time, please permit me to stand on already well-established protocol and just go straight into the presentation. Dimitri has said a lot about the strength, the resilience, and the equity that our brands command, both in the local and export markets. And the numbers that we'll be looking at in the next few minutes are a further testament to, that position, basically. And before I go into the numbers, it's always very useful to consider the performance of any business at all within the context of the macroeconomic space within which that business has operated. We'll be looking at the performance of the business for the first half of the financial year 2025. For some of us, I know some of us know that the financial year is not, for PZ is not the same as the calendar year. Our financial year runs from 1st June to 31st May every year. So the results we are looking at is for the half year ending 30th November 2024. I'm going to, before going into the numbers, just remind us, I'm sure we know those macroeconomic indices already. We're aware of what has happened and is still happening in this market. But it's always good to remind ourselves, sort of set a proper context for discussing the results. So for the period under consideration, the mean inflation figure for the period was about 33.5%. The key drivers being some of the policy changes, that have brought a lot of changes to the market. Let me put it that way. We saw the removal of fuel subsidy driving energy prices up multiple times during the period under review. We also saw the floating of the naira causing very aggressive devaluation as well. And we've seen some upward reviews in the MPR. Currently, we now stand at 27.5%. And what we've learned is that that's likely to continue depending on where the inflation numbers go. Why is this important for our business? And I think for every business as well. We felt the impact in several P&L lines, starting from the cost of energy to the cost of raw materials, to the cost of logistics to move the goods around, move raw materials into the factory, and then move finished goods out of the factories and into the different channels where sales normally happen. We also felt the impact on several of our headlines, but I'll be talking about that in a short while, how we've been able to control and manage costs and optimize our operation to deliver the results that we would see shortly. The very interesting thing about inflation is that it not only affects the company, it also affects the consumers, because what then happens is people start to rationalize and start to prioritize what they consider to be, key essentials. And what that does is it cuts consumer spending and then invariably affects you on two ends. Your costs are rising and then you are struggling to sell. That's how inflation impacts business, I think, everywhere in the world. Our average sourcing rate for the half year was about 1,600 naira to the dollar. We started the period in June at about 1489 and closed the period with about 1696. If you do the weighted, based on our purchasing pattern, the average sourcing rate came to about 1601. What this means is that you are taking hit to your P&L because you have booked liabilities at a particular rate, and by the end of the period when you have to revalue those liabilities, you have losses to the P&L as well. Energy costs moved about 43% during the period under review, and I've already highlighted the impact of that on different aspects of our P&L, including logistics, energy costs to power the factories, and also on some trading expenses. Some of the key messages that we would like to pass across this afternoon includes the fact that as a business, we remain very committed in investing in our key brands. We will continue to innovate. We will continue to invest in our brands. We will continue to grow our strategic trade partnerships to, continue to serve our customers even as their needs evolve. The second and third point there I'll dive into when we start to look at the numbers. The final point, which is very key to mention here, is that our net asset position went into the negative at the end of the FY24 financial year, and that is as a result of the losses we took due to aggressive devaluation of the currency. It is still negative as at the end of the first half of 2025. However, we are working around the clock and weighing a number of options to address that. If there are specific questions around that area, I would leave that to the end of my presentation. Now to the overview of the results. This is an interesting one to look at. Our revenue grew 42% relative to same period prior year, and that's as a result of the fact that we were able to take some price increases during that period. There are two key factors contributing to the growth that we got on revenue. The first is pricing, and the second one is volume mix. Not volume itself, but volume mix, and I will explain those. It's very exciting to see that in the midst of a turbulent macroeconomy, we have very strong brands that are able to take price increases because the fast-moving consumer goods space is a very price-sensitive industry, and there's a limit. There will be a limit to your capacity to price, depending on the strength of your brand. The interesting thing here, and the very encouraging thing here, is that we're able to take prices multiple times because our brands are strong and because they have such equity that causes consumers to every time choose PZ Cussons, regardless of where the prices go. So I'm not saying that our products have inelastic demand. Of course, it's to an extent elastic. It's a price-sensitive industry, but we occupy such a premium position in the market that gives us some flexibility, to take pricing. The second contributor to the revenue growth is mix. What has happened, what we've noticed within the first half year, is that we are now selling and are able to sell more high-value products than we used to sell. Of course, we have products and SKU in the different categories. We have in the premium category, we have in the mid-tier category, and we have in the value segment as well. Of course, you need to retain products in the value segment to address, those who don't have money to play either in the mid-tier or the premium segment. But we have seen a shift in our volume mix from value to mid-tier, from mid-tier to premium, and that has helped us generate significant value in terms of revenue. The upside on revenue has flowed through to gross profit. We were able to grow our gross profit by 23% and our operating profit by 8%. And this is operating profit before we have considered the impacts of FX. I need to stress that, to let us see the strength and the resilience of the underlying operation. What this means is that without the impact of FX coming from those legacy liabilities that we are carrying on the face of our balance sheet, We have a very strong business. We have a high performing business, able to generate 10.58 billion in operating profits in just 6 months. However, the legacy, historical, whichever way you want to describe it, liabilities that we have on the face of our balance sheet are real. They are real, and so are the losses that they generate every time you have to revalue or settle. These were liabilities booked when USD to the Naira was about 600, even at black market rate. I think official at that time was about 460, thereabout. And now you are talking of rates in the region of 1,500, 1,600. What that very clearly demonstrates is that your P&L has taken hits as a result of those liabilities. The question is, how do we deal with this? We are considering a range of options, like I mentioned earlier, to deal with those liabilities and ensure that we operate in a way that is sustainable and will remain profitable and will continue to unlock value for our stakeholders. And this is the quarterly view. You could see that apart from the half-year view, where we're comparing half-year 2025 with half-year 2024, there's a lot of growth, both in revenue, gross profit, and operating profit before FX is taken into account. And this is how we've performed on cost. Cost optimization and reduction is a continuous thing at PZCN. Like I mentioned earlier, the mean inflation rate for the period under consideration was about 33.5%. We have trading partners, we have vendors, we have business partners who experience exactly the same things that we experienced. They had no choice but to price up. And once they price up, that input comes to us. Like I explained earlier as well, we've also had to price up, to defend our revenues, to defend our margins, whilst at the same time working around the clock and working very hard to expand our trade channels to, recover and retain volumes. So you will see the impact of the inflationary pressures on the cost of sales, but that impact, in my opinion, is very marginal. There's about a 400 bips increase from 68 to about 72% on COGS. We've had an upward review in freight rates, in insurance rates for raw material import, even on duties as well. So what you see here is a lot of work has gone into it to ensure that that impact is kept to the barest minimum. One of the major benefits that flowed into COGS for the first half of our F25 financial year was the savings that we got from outsourcing our energy generation to a firm that we believe to be very competent at generating power. It's an integrated power business. I was discussing with the supply chain director who is here seated this morning. And from that discussion, I was able to garner that we got full benefit of that initiative in the first half of the year. And that is the only place where we've seen costs grow, and inevitably so. On selling expenses, we were able to optimize our route to market. We were able to put our salespeople to task to ensure that we sell more per naira of our TradeX spend. And what that has done is it's helped us with optimization, and it's reduced our selling expenses as percentage of revenues from 10% to 8% in the period under review. We have managed to keep our admin costs flat, even with all of the inflation and the pressure that we operated against as a business. And of course, we didn't see as much aggressive devaluation of the naira as we experienced in the first half of the prior year. And these are extracts from our balance sheet. We have kept a very close watch on our working capital. Our main objective being the effective allocation of capital. We will continue to maintain an optimized position that allows for timely collection of our receivables, payment of vendors in line with credit terms, and efficient inventory maintenance to prevent stock out and loss of sales, whilst ensuring that no capital is tied down unnecessarily. We've seen an improvement in our cash position, both on account of revenue growth and effective working capital management. Our operation is now cash positive with full recovery from a negative operating cash position in prior year. Our business is still net asset negative due to losses accruing from legacy FX liabilities, which I spoke about earlier. And like I mentioned, we are currently addressing this. And as we move towards the end of the F25 financial year, we will continue to streamline our operations, we will continue to control costs, and we will continue to optimize our cash flows. Like I said, our aim in financial management, in operations management, in business management generally, is to continue to find ways of unlocking value for our different stakeholders. Thank you very much. I have come to the end of my part of the presentation. I will now hand over to Dimitri to take the sustainability update. Thank you.
Thank you, Ebenezer. A little bit more information for myself, and then we will reach the Q&A side. Can we stay on the sustainability piece? So, PZ Cussons' purpose is for everyone, and we're talking about employees, consumers, customers, our vendors, our wider community where we operate, for life. And we're talking about the environment where we operate and how we preserve it and protect it for good. That whatever we do, day in, day out, we'll do it in an ethical manner. And that's what PZ Cussons has been recognized in the 125 years have been in Nigeria. So a lot of work on the ESG side. Just some examples I would like to share with you today. Continue work from the teams on carbon footprint reduction. And Ebenezer earlier mentioned about the great work that our supply chain team, led by Ifeani, who is here with us today, did in outsourcing this to a party for lower cost and also less pollution to the environment as well. So great achievement there. The commercial teams supported and collaborating with the supply chain teams, incorporating recycled paper and plastic in our packaging, again, reducing the impact we make to the environment, as well as the community within PZ Cussons themselves, working very tirelessly, reducing in their own ways waste that we have, particularly through plastic. There are times that if you visit us at Ilupeju, you'll see the teams going particularly around Ilupeju with our dancing and songs to remove plastic from the local community. So great work there. Work on around reducing the landfill waste, and we have a target to reduce in critical areas to 0 by 2030. Preserving the water, and that we do within our manufacturing sites as well as with our vendors. And lastly, for palm oil, Nigeria very sensitive to palm oil, but many parts of the world very sensitive to palm oil, sourcing from in a sustainable manner. Palm oil, as you may know, is used in the soap production that we have in PZ Cussons, Nigeria. So, going forward, and how we see the months ahead and the years ahead. A lot of macro volatility we have heard about from Ebenezer earlier, and that is an area that is, in a way, beyond the control of any company. We believe and hope that things will be a bit more stable in months ahead, but irrespective, as a business, as a company, we need to be prepared for any scenario. So like we did for the last 18 months, where things were very volatile, we need to be ready to respond to equal volatility or even more stable environment as it may play out in the months ahead. What with this in our control and our decision and what we are going to do is we are going to relentlessly focus on our 4 key categories: baby, beauty, hygiene, and electricals. We are going to continue innovating, supporting the evolution of the brand portfolio that I described to you earlier. We'll continue investing to improve our route to market further, and this is being able to service retail stores across Nigeria. Just to give you an example, our family care business at this moment in time are in a position to service almost 200,000 direct outlets across the country, which is a great achievement, but equally improve our exports further because we know this brings the so needed US dollars at times. So local domestic sales as well as export sales. Ifeanyi and the team have been working tirelessly to continue bringing our operational cost as low as it can be, despite challenges we have from the forex rate. Some of you may have heard recently that NPA is increasing their rates by 15%. These are all impacting our cost of operations. With some of you who were during our AGM, you remember my comment there is some months back, it will cost us 200 naira per liter to put in a salesman car, the fuel. Now it's costing us 1,000 naira per liter. We still need to send the salesman now to collect orders. So we still need to find ways to absorb those costs. So a lot of work from the team there, and Ebenezer highlighted that we have managed to keep those costs steady. We'll continue making choices about our portfolio because what is very important in our operations, because very important is we need to be generating cash to have an optimum and positive cash flow and to find a solution for the legacy debts that we currently have. And as Ebenezer has demonstrated earlier, had it not been for them, this business would have been profitable. So through a combination of all these elements, we believe we'll be in a position for the business to be profitable again, even after considering any such liabilities, and to be able to continue growing in a sustainable, profitable manner in the years ahead. We have been 125 years in Nigeria, and we are looking forward to be 125 years plus in Nigeria, and to do that for the benefit of our investors, yourselves, the local communities, and all our employees. Thank you for your time, and I think I'll leave it there so we can move to the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please put our hands together again for the PZ Cussons management. Thank you very much. Now it is time for questions, comments. Perhaps there are anyone around. Okay, so we'll start from this side. The mic, please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity and the invite. My name is Ibrude Moses. I'm the National Coordinator of Independent Shareholders Association of Nigeria. Thank you very much. First, I will speak to the NGX. You mentioned some certain things that your institution is doing to assist company in Nigeria. First, I want to ask, when a company is operating a country over 100 years, as a country, as an institution, what is your plan for those type of company in terms of our heritage? A company operated for over 100 years. At least there's something that this institution is a heritage to that country that it was not for. I don't know whether you have any package for that in the end stage. We have a lot of them, very few of them, but they are still in existence. What are we doing? And what are the NGX's work is doing to propose to the federal government or in the country in order to maintain such company, work with such company. What are we doing? If you have any thought, that is, you don't have such thought, I just want to know whether such thought is good. For me, it's very, very something that we need to consider. Then again, I want to mention something to the NGX and they themselves they have not mentioned. If you look at all those annual general reports and all of that, there is a policy of government which says that when you come to Nigeria, there what is called technical transfer, knowledge transfer. And NOTAB is responsible in doing that. I can tell you categorically that PZ is the only company that is dedicated in doing that. How do I know? 2023, we pay a courtesy visit to NOTAB. Right there, the DG then mention the reason why we must support this technical transfer. And the only company that is able or is doing it today is PZ. Not only doing it, after he said there is a problem around it. We are bringing technical experts here, 3 years and all of that. They will transfer, train the people. But there is a problem. That is, we don't have the human capacity, especially in the university, to empower that after you have trained person, who will train the other person, who will train the other person. So they now brought up something like who we enable to train the trainer. It was only PZ that established this type of training, this thing, across Nigerian universities. So that is one of the contributing, or something that they are contributing to empower Nigerians. And based on that, we will also want you as an NGX that those to look at this technical transfer of other companies. What are they doing about it? Is it just that they just brought this thing, they give the expatriate quota and all of that? The same person would be, the law say 3 years. That if somebody stayed there in 3 and an expat stay in a particular place 3 years, why is it that that person is still there or somebody else in the next 3 years? These are some of these things we can do in order to make sure that our people are trained on the job and all of that, and these things can help our people. Again, you said you have not mentioned, you said you are doing a lot of things. That I'm coming to PZ now. A lot of things to address the forest FS issues. What are these things that you are doing? How can the shareholder help? Because the fear before was that PZ want to delist and move on away from. Many people take up different options. Many people, when this crisis came, they some took option, they exited and all of that. Thank God now you are giving us hope that yes, you are here and you are going to do more. Now tell us, what are you doing? How do the shareholder, those investors, help you in order to remove those forest issues so that you can pay dividends? It's very key. And that is why we are here, to listen to your plans and all of that, and we'll get prepared. And the Simon will take the Simon back to our own constituency. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Please let me, with your kind permission, stand on already established protocol. My name is Chief Mokocha Innocent Peters. I head the Noble Shareholder Association in Abuja. First, I want to thank God for the opportunity given to all of us to come and x-ray our operations, analyze challenges, and provide solutions. I will start from the NGX. I was really amazed by how much he rolled out as to the collaborative efforts they are doing together. And I looked at him whether he had any paper on hand. I never saw one. I think I really owe you a lot of respect. It was flowing as if perhaps somewhere the thing was coming out from it. And looking at the reality and the practicability of all you rolled out, we can now see light at the end of the tunnel. I like to look at the issue expressed here today. Beneza said a lot of technical financial matters. And our CEO, of course, if you give him 2 days, he will still be saying something that will impress you. But all will culminate into something better than we had yesterday. If we look at critically our problems now, one is power. And in the analysis, something has been done to reduce the cost of power significantly. But I want it to be sustainable, because that is where the whole chunk goes. After power, the only other area that is important, critically important, is our FX. A lot of losses. If you look at operational profit we made along the line, by the time you talk about tax and all that, and that takes me to the next question. Is it, Ebenezer will answer that one, because is it proper to pay tax on loss? If we pay tax on turnover, I think the issue should be revisited. If for every reason we have done our best and we can't even post PAT that is reasonable on the positive side, will it be proper for government to collect tax from you? Because that is deepening our problems, if that is the case. To also solve that problem, I want to ask, do we have limitations for export? Realizing that if we can export enough, we generate a lot of forex that will reduce our foreign exchange losses, which are the major issues. As for operationally, we're doing well. So I think I want to find out whether we have any limitation whatsoever in export. If we don't have, I think we should also intensify export without, of course, sacrificing the local content and our distribution. Having said all this, Moses mentioned the other thing I want to talk about. We can't really do much without injecting fund as a working capital. But the only snag there is that if over the years you have not been able to pay sustainable dividend, their shareholders will only be, people from the other earth to support you massively if you want to raise funds. Because that's the cheapest thing to do. And that's where the NGX also has always been working hard on. But I think we should take the bull by the horn, because I can see years back, months back, we were only worried that we are leaving. There is nobody seated in this hall today that was alive when NGX came to Nigeria. So it's a generational project. We should work hard now to make sure the next generation after us inherit a better PZ. For if we fail, it will be unfortunate. None of us was ever born by the time they came here. We should be able to also leave a better PZ to the generations after us. I know so many people want to say a lot, but what I want to ask, can't we raise funds by way of rice issue? Because we believe that things are going to get better. If only that, if we raise funds, it will reduce your dependence on borrowing, no matter the terms, and then look forward to the operational profit we are seeing. There can now be real profit after tax. By the time we've taken care of our cost of energy, forex loss, and other related issues. Let me also thank you for maintaining the, what do you call it now, your operational expenses, admin expenses. That's a good thing to do, even though I know we can do better. Thank you for the attention, and God bless you all.
Let's take the last one from that side, and then we'll move to this side.
Good afternoon. The CEO of NGX and chairman of this occasion. I also recognize the CEO of PZ leading his team here, and every other protocol observed. I am David Adonri of High Cap Securities. First, I wish to commend PZ for his resilience. Having stayed for more than a century alive in Nigeria, I was also in the private sector in something that was similar. I was in the Boots company of Nottingham, but I don't think Boots is still there today. We're all at Ilukpeju together and many other companies. So you have been able to keep the flag flying. I think from your numbers, things appear to be looking up for you. And you might not be too worried, perhaps, about thinking of refinancing, because I think you have sufficiently weathered the storm in terms of reducing your losses. I think the next time your report comes out for the next quarter, I expect you to have broken out from the losses into big positive numbers. I like PZ personally, and I tell you for one reason. Because you have a product, Premier Soap. That Premier Soap is green in color. I have been using that soap for decades, and every member of my family, because green is synonymous with nature. So that green Premier does not change the color of your skin, but is very, very effective in cleaning the skin. But I was looking at your presentation now. I didn't see that color here. And most of the times when I go to the market, before the product lands in the market, it's already exhausted. Yeah. The consumer pool for that product is simply amazing. So I'm surprised that PZ is not leveraging on that, to deepen the supply of that product to the market. So I just felt that let me make that known to you, because I go to the market from time to time. And then I have looked at the impact of the colossal loss on FX on your balance sheet, And I was wondering that having stayed in the country for over a century, perhaps your level of import dependence ought to have been reduced considerably. That is, you ought to have been engaged in a backward integration all these years, such that your exposure to FX would have reduced. So if you have not thought of that, I would say, well, the narrative in Nigeria is changing now. And indeed, it's changing all over the world. You can even see what Trump is doing in the US. America first, America for America, warding off all international competition with tariffs so as to domesticate their production in America. So sooner or later, every country will have to do that. And for a resource-rich nation like Nigeria that actually has the capacity to grow her economy from domestic natural resources, build capital and wealth from domestic resources, we actually have no business relying on imports. So for a trailblazer like PZ, I think you need to deepen your drive for domesticating your production. So that brings me to the issue, because I saw what you put out there in terms of increasing the volume of your output in order to mitigate your foreign exchange vulnerabilities. Well, I don't think that is adequate, because the capital market actually has something to rescue the situation. You don't really need to look far. You can hedge your currency exposure now, because I know for you to move into domesticating your input sources, it will take some time. But in the immediate, you can actually hedge your foreign currency exposure. And the reason why I am saying this is because you have no control over foreign exchange fluctuation. With the way the economy is, we are running a market-based economy now, and the market can move in any direction. Any external shock can change situation very dramatically and drastically. Therefore, I will advise that you approach the strategy of hedging your currency exposure using derivatives in the Nigerian capital market. There are derivative products now that you can actually use. You can buy some futures contracts locally to hedge your foreign currency exposure. So I think that will supersede your wish to drive volume as a mitigating strategy. Now, PZ has been here for several years. The paradigm may probably need to change. I know you have dominated that your sector of consumer business, but I also know you are a technically based enterprise, producing a lot of iconic technical products like your number one thermocool refrigerator, and so on and so forth, even your generator and all. So you probably will need to take another look at the new economy that is emerging, especially in Nigeria. We are talking of clean energy. We are talking of solar. I don't really see a future for that generator anymore. So the earlier you start thinking of probably moving into the solar space and also converting a lot of your fossil fuel-driven engines that you produce into solar powered engines, then of course the future of PZ will be better assured.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. So might be any other thing
all right, thank you.
Pass to you.
So let us
let
us receive responses to those questions and then we'll come back to that.
All right, thank you. Since we started off from the NGX, what are we doing for companies that have stayed very long in the domestic environment? This is one of the things that we're doing, giving them heightened visibility. As you are aware, the NGX is a member of the World Federation of Exchanges, so this event will be showcased across the globe. Those are the sort of visibility that corporates that are listed on our platform do get. But beyond that, there's the element of partnerships that we have been into over the years. And so they leverage those partnerships to be able to raise capital across different markets. For instance, we have an MOU with London Stock Exchange. We have an MOU with Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And we have seen corporates utilizing that partnership to be able to raise capital across different markets. And we also have MOU with Luxembourg Stock Exchange, which is the largest sustainability exchange in the world. And that provides heightened or increased access to investors, as well as the ability for companies such as PZ to be able to raise capital. I see that are huge on sustainability, ESG-related matters. Clearly, they have to be for them to still be around after this long period of time. So there are many other things that we're doing around technology, for instance. We've invested heavily in technology, and for companies such as PZ, the conversation around raising capital through rights issue, for instance, that process has been shortened, and you can see that the banks are benefiting from our NGX Invest technology platform, which allows for digital offering. And for the very first time, you have an end-to-end digital offering process that really shrinks the whole process from issuance to subscription, and it cuts across because it's internet-based, so it's not just domesticated to Nigeria, but it's across the globe as well. So many of that, but I don't want us to focus too much on the NGX because we'll have our day sometime. Today is the day for PZ, so I'll just allow them to talk about why they're here. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. And as always, the more familiar members, thank you always for your support and your challenge at the same time. We go in equal weights, and we appreciate because it encourages us to do better and raise our own personal bar to be able to do the better for everyone. I will try, forgive me if I've missed something, please let me know if I have missed something from the points you made, and Ebenezer will be able to add on as well. I love the story about the Premier Green and having that product available as well as all the others available. And I think if we look back the last 24 months, it has been a very difficult time for any business, not just PZ Cussons. There have been efforts to reduce significantly the number of materials that we import and increase the number of materials we source locally. And as it is now, for shops, for example, I think more than 80% of our local content, or our content is local. And that is great work to be done. And family care at this moment in time possibly have reduced their dependence by, they are approximately 50% of the total cost to be locally sourced. And we are looking to make that even bigger and bigger. You need to appreciate over and above technology and availability, you know, some things are just not available. What the other element we experienced in the last 18 months is members of the ecosystem, vendors to us, also exited Nigeria. And we were relying on those people to help us with material A or material B, which were then sourced in Naira. And all of a sudden, this vendor said, sorry, I'm not going to be in Nigeria any longer. So now the option for us to be able to continue production is actually to find somebody overseas until we find again somebody in Nigeria. Example, and I've used it a couple of times, but because we are truly proud of that achievement, is one of the companies who was making the rope tins for us in Nigeria. One day, he picked up the phone, told Ifeani, sorry, Ifeani, we are leaving. And you need to find somebody else to do the things for you. That's a very technical product. And if you were to look to see the machinery and the tooling required for that, it's really difficult. Nevertheless, the team took it over, moved it from one side that they had it in Lagos to our place in Korodu, and they put it back together. So that we don't need to go to India, we don't need to go to China to import those things. But why I'm making that point is that the will and the plan is there, and we are making progress to increase the number of materials that we source locally. But equally, you rely on your ecosystem to help you with that. And the last 18 months, unfortunately, was a time where some members of the ecosystem themselves, they left the business. But it remains. To the exports, and I think again the last AGM, Dr. Danusa is always very keen to challenge us. Say, Dimitri, what is your percentage of exports? I say, X. Not good enough. Come back and tell me next time whether you have improved them. So I go back to, hey, Dr. Danusa, we have improved to Y. He says, still not good enough. So from a board point of view, right, and of course we understand it ourselves, is that healthy challenge because we know the more we can export, more US dollars we can generate, and less dependence we are now on the banks and so forth to help us buy the materials. And I think there are no significant challenges to export other than the pure commercial ones, meaning that it's a new country with different consumers, and you'll be able to, again, introduce your own brand alongside the brands that are already in that market and convince them that your own brand is worthwhile them purchasing. So it's, we cannot see it as just Nigeria easily selling to those markets. It's just another market where other brands are already there. But the challenge is there, and we do understand that increasing the number of raw materials and materials overall that we buy locally and improving exports is key in order for us to be able to return to profitability. You ask, what can we do as shareholders as well? I think first of all is, and with all humbleness, is support us and challenge us. That's definitely one thing with goodwill. That's everything too, knowing that we are here to try to make this business better and better for everyone. Where possible for yourselves is to be advocates for this business. And where possible for yourselves to be able to explain institutions that consumers cannot take any more cost. They have been running more than 30% inflation. The average Nigerian family now spends apparently more than 70% of their monthly income on food. They don't have time for freezer, they don't have time for AC, they don't have money for other categories. More recently, we heard about another 4% import duty being which likely has been suspended. More recently, we heard about MPA increasing their rates for their own good reasons by 15%. More recently, we have heard about the VAT increasing past 10%. We appreciate these are obviously a lot of thought has gone into those considerations and those proposals. But at the end of the day, when you are running 2 years with 30% plus inflation, these are going to make the situation even more challenging for consumers. It's going to make the situation even more challenging for companies to be profitable. So wherever you can, your help to be able to say what else can be done so that consumers can be protected. Companies, 100-year-plus companies, institutions in this business can be protected, can be supported because they mean well. They want to pay their taxes. They are paying their taxes. They want to generate employment. They are generating employment. So we need to help them because these are the ones that actually be able to support the development of this country. And going back, and I think maybe trying to bridge in, I think correctly, Ebenezer mentioned about the debt situation has to be addressed. I think you also make a reference to that. And in the recent publications, we made reference to the board considering certain options. As and when the board puts any options out there for consideration to the shareholders, we will be looking for your support as well, because that will help us to overcome this problem. And as my godfather said earlier, then we can truly have operational profit that then can support the business to pay dividend towards our shareholders in PZ Cussons. Ebenezer, anything you'd like to add?
Thank you very much, Dimitri. I will respond to some of the questions that are finance-related. You asked about tax on losses, and my answer to that is that this is purely a regulatory matter. It's a matter of law. The tax laws are there, and until they are changed, that aspect of minimum tax, even when you are loss-making, is not something that we can decide to just change on our own. And Dimitri also mentioned that from a shareholder perspective, with your connections, with your engagements with government at different forums, you could help us to start driving some of these conversations. I know there are amendments in the new tax reform bill. I think at this point the consideration has slowed down a bit, but the reality is that the law is the law, and we, as law-abiding corporate citizens, I do not think that we have a choice other than to comply with those provisions of the law. The other part that I want to address is what was said about using volume as a hedging strategy for FX. I think before we start to talk about strategy, we need to know exactly what the source of the issue is. And before I go to that, let me just make a number of general statements. From a hedging perspective, what you look at first is where is your exposure coming from? Okay, if your exposure is trade, if it's trade related, then you start considering derivatives, futures, options, and things like that, which I can tell you we have tried in the past and we are still working on for the trade side. But the specific exposure we're talking about here are balance sheet exposures. These are legacy balance sheet exposures. I don't know, Dimitri, if you would touch on them a little, because there's a history to them, which is in a better position to elaborate on. And you already have them, you're already sitting on them. I don't think you can go the route of derivatives to resolve those. The other thing I want to mention is already, Dimitri has touched on it, saying that we are reducing our dependence on imports, and that's very critical. Industries in the food sector may have been able to do that faster than we have done. I have worked in different businesses before joining PZ. I've worked in food and beverage. I've worked, my background is in manufacturing. I started my career at Unilever. In the food sector, it's sort of easier to develop local vendors and to get your inputs locally to a greater extent. In fast-moving consumer goods where you deal with a lot of chemicals, you would agree with me that that sector is not so developed, and it takes longer. The gestation period to get a vendor from start to the point where they have capacity to now supply you is longer than what you find in industries like food and beverage. It's a long journey, it's a painful journey, it's a slow one, but the benefits at the end of the day are worth it for our business. Like you mentioned, we are currently for family care 50% exposure. I'm sure by the next time we are reporting to you, that figure would somehow have gone down. It's a lot of work. The expert on that is in the room. Ifeanyi is here, and with your permission, you can speak to that if you require more explanation. And then someone asked why we can't raise funds by rights issue. Like the CEO said, there's a range of options that we are considering. I remember very clearly I was at Domino's when this issue first occurred in the market, when the FX rates, the devaluation happened and went to about 300%. And a lot of companies that had, I don't want to start mentioning names here, that went into net negative asset position, decided to take the cosmetic option. Very simple. Look at your assets that you are sitting on. Why are you carrying them at cost? Revalue them, you know. But that does not bring cash into the coffers of the business. There's a range of options that we are considering. We thank you and we appreciate that you have entrusted us with the management of this business. When the board takes a decision, we will come to you to engage. Okay, and I also want to address what someone said about volume not being an appropriate strategy for FX. I don't know where that information came from, but that's not what we said or communicated. Maybe there's a typo somewhere in the presentation that the person read. But for your trade exposures, the reality is export volumes can be an effective strategy. So if you're expanding into different countries and the trade is happening in FX, for as long as at some point you are able to match your FX-denominated payables with your FX-denominated receivables, and you're able to adjust the timing as well, you just might be in good stead to weather whatever storm comes. So we can't completely rule out volumes. I think that's all the responses that I have at this time.
Thank you very much. Please let's quickly take another round of questions. Please, let's start from the front, please. Could you come forward?
I still stand on the existing protocol. My name is Okezie Boniface. Because the time is fast spent, almost after 4, I'm not going to take your time. When I entered into the hall, there was misconception by me that PZ have left Aba, because that's one of the early site of production in this part of the country. But I was told today, the MD and the director of chain supply, that the Aba is still in existence and manufacturing. Having said that, Mr. Chairman, the NGX you are come today, that like the Don used to say, a toe does not run the day in vain. That must something have prompted you to come today and fight behind the figures. And that's the only area you can raise money if you have challenges. Because most of the time you are running to Abuja to hold your AGM. But you are welcome back to Lagos today. You can see the horse, and people are not even, they would have left. They want to hear from you. People are running away from NGS. It is not about fees or listing. I don't know why people are running away. This is the only platform that can help you out. Somebody say, what can MGS do? If you only have problem, and you don't have to go about solving it, You call me, ask them question. And if you are not written to them, you won't get an answer. You won't get any reply. They won't know what challenges confronting you are facing. If you have problem, you have come today. And that's the only way, after this meeting today, this evening, far behind, maybe you come back and bring in your papers that you want to raise money. That's the only way platform created. It can only get it at the floor of stock exchange to raise that money, and which is a cheaper fund. It's not like a bank loans or overdraft. You get a cheaper fund that not cost for interest. It's only servicing shareholders. But unfortunately, when the MD was making statement, you're talking about consumers, the customers, the workforce. You didn't mention of shareholders or the company. And that's why the dividend will continue to elude us. Because you didn't factor in another other stakeholders important, that's seed providers. When they invest, they want to have returns on their investments. It shall not be forthcoming. But you can say, yes, we have engineered this company today, and if you invest again, you have profit will be shared among us. And I want to ask first questions. Are we having problem in capital flight? That all the profit or asset stripping we have been hearing, PZ have been selling. You can't pay dividend from there to shareholders, co-owners of those properties or assets. I want to ask, and I demand a question for that, Because if you have been selling those properties, asset stripping, we must also say, shareholders from a profit, operational costs, we are not making profit to pay you. But these are things all of us own together. We need to share, distribute it for the benefit of your shareholders. You're not doing that. If a company is not buoyant enough, why do we go to have 5-star hotel to do our AGM? There's a better hotels in Lagos that can accommodate 500, 300 people, 1,000 to hold your AGM. Allow the shareholder to prospect. Somebody didn't pay dividend. You want that person to fly off 100,000 to come to Abuja and raise hotel to attend the AGM. What is wrong here? What is wrong here? Holding our AGM so that those who are invested will have the opportunity to participate and contribute on the AGM. These are things, cut cost. Because all the director will put in 5-star hotel. Don't you know the cost? And the staff you take along. The cost is enormous. We have to look inward. Today, I patronize PZ. If I have bought freezers, more than it helps me, I have bought 6 products of Tremacos refrigerators. But I know when I have dashed them out. The problem is either from compressor or whatever. Within 2 years, you dispose them off, It's not good enough. Somebody suggested, why do we have to go into generator? A can buy full of 20,000 naira to run generator. For how many days we run it, So we should look solar. Somebody suggested it, And I watching the MD reply, say, yes, we are looking along that line. If you're talking about forest, household care product, the soap, the Joy soap, Premier, what have you, Imperia, Rob, we cannot be, getting raw material side to do all this product. The palm oil is there, and the Presco is supplying you. I know the Okomo, we have get those assets there. A lot of palm oil companies are springing today. We are the one who took this palm oil to Nigeria from Nigeria. And we begin to import it, all these things, You get those things cheaply here in Nigeria, though it's cost. Productions, capacities. I want to urge you that today, they brand all those products. If you go to supermarket, it goes. It's a high demand, your product. If you have good earning, that's nothing stopping you not to pay dividend. Because people are buying your product. They are taking advantage of those coming from Asia and no more coming in. We increase the volume of our productions. We're able to sell. You left before on detergent, elephant. You discarded that product today. And that's why influx of list of standard coming from Asia in time for detergent into the country. You can see the money is selling high. Why do you have to discard without elephant? Which was and I think If for many years they were not seeing dividend, these are areas we need to address and tell shareholder the challenges you are facing or comforting you, why dividends have not been proposed for many years. If you can get the balance sheet strong, and you say you want to come to mind to raise right issue, people will take it. Advantage of capital appreciation, as we're seeing to the rally. PZ, I mean, your competitor, I don't want to mention his name, he's also coming back in dividend. We're the same dividend. So we need to take these things and go back home. I'm going to re-engineer. Your product is excellent. The market, the women are men. I go to supermarket. I bought those products. We are using the household care. I don't buy foreign soap. That's the soap I'm using. You can see my body is glowing. I'm using it. I'm one of the customers as well, and a shareholder. So if I'm patronizing our company, I should earn dividend in returns to make me more to go for that product. That's my challenge here today. So MD, I've seen you're a good man, and others who are left. Please rethink home. 125 years, you cannot go away to the list. This is the market for you. And if the list will campaign, nobody will buy that product again in Nigeria. I'm telling you this. You must stay here. Those who are running away, there's no people killing you here or ask you to bring your blood. A change listing fee, how much is it? To list the, how much is it? You make more money in listing going elsewhere. So remain here, and you see how it's going to play out. Tell us that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For the last question, please, Senona.
Hold on.
We have...
Thank you so much for the questions. Because of the challenge of time, it's only just expedient that you just go straight to the point. I know they haven't been to the market in a while, so there's quite a lot to ask. But I don't think this is a one-off engagement. Just based on what they have heard today, it's really important for them to be in touch with the market on a regular basis. So just keep your question to one so that you can allow others to ask their questions. Thank you.
Someone is standing behind.
Yeah, I want to stand on all existing protocol. My name is Patrick Ajudo. I want to say for a matter of fact that I haven't been attending PZ AGM for a lot of years now. I saw a new turnaround in PZ under the new management led by Mr. Dimitrov. It's a matter of fact because when you look at the 6 months half year, you will see that they've reduced the forest losses from 42 billion to 5.8 billion. That is a tremendous fact. Secondly, they have reduced the operating loss they have been making for 36.7 billion. Now they are in profit of 48 billion. Of more importance to us is the fact that they've also reduced their operating pre-tax losses from 35 billion to 301.7 million. That is a tremendous hope for us. And I can say for a fact that come their fourth quarter, PZ, I am very much sure, will turn to profitability. And that is our prayer over time. Second fact is that PZ is itself has been experiencing foreign exchange losses. But not only them, it's not peculiar, it's to the industry-wide. So I will be advising them to aggressively restructure their foreign-denominated loans, converting them into Naira to shield the company from further forex volatility. Also, the long-term loans, there is need to negotiate extended payment terms on outstanding facilities to create a financial headroom for a swift return to a positive cash flow and profitability. I will also alert them on the need for, there is need to have a long-term strategic vision aimed at returning to profitability, resume dividend payment in the near future. We need to pursue this ambition with vigor, building strong partnership and leveraging market opportunities to drive sustainable expansion.
Thank you very much.
Finally, please.
All right.
I am at home with what they have said, most especially on the need to avoid PZ going out. So the MD is assuring us that PZ have come to stay and you are not going. While you are doing that, follow through your future strategies you have mentioned to us in the last meeting. And those ones are, one, optimizing our balance sheet and enhancing financial management. Number two, brand product innovation and market expansion. And number three, digital transformation. These are very key to us. And for God, who made me, and the other shareholders who are here, we are going to continue to give you the ultimate support needed to ensure that you return to profitability and commence payment of dividend to your shareholder. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. May we now have responses to these questions? Okay, let's take Sanona, and Sanona will be the final question for the day.
Okay, thank you. Also realizing that we spend so much time, I will not go into political rallies. MD, I heard you say that you've had opportunity of being in Nigeria a couple of times. So one of the things I'm going to do after this engagement, I'm going to check your shoe to make sure that it's made in Aba. Otherwise, we'll have to remove what you have on your legs. But talking seriously to the business, the only question that I'll be asking, so I can have a better understanding of the result that you've presented. What is the impact of price changes to the volume and the revenue that you have done? Because it's easy and quick for us to say, oh, you've done well, we'll support you. And if those changes don't continue and the cost of production keeps going higher, all the assurances that you've gotten here will not happen. So I need to understand that. And I also think that you need to take advantage of having to be here a little much more. All my adult life, the only thing I've done is the capital market. I'm not sure that you've been to this exchange more than 3 times in the last 53 years. So I'll be hoping that you engage much more. Because what you don't know, you won't know, except you seek knowledge. So I'll be hoping that you do that. And so that this emergency that we've also had in terms of the number of persons who can relate to you will be much better. But let me plead with you, because if you've been here for 53 years listed, and you've been here for more than 125 years, I can count the number of Nigerians who have aspired, have gotten to the point of managing director. That will not speak well of a company that is national. And yes, I know it's difficult for you because you are not a board, you're only a member of the board, but it's a message that you must take home. And it's on that note, I'm hoping that the Chief Financial Officer, who came from Eat and Go, now that you have come here, will put 4 horsepower in your car. You said you get so cool with some of the promises that have been made here that you will not need to run or go again, that you stay with us for. Because come to think of it, I can also count the number of finance directors who have been Nigerians in PZ. And I don't think that speaks well for PZ. As is on that note, I want to thank your courage for coming. But please be reassured, the more you come, the more knowledge you get. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Yes.
Again, I would like to thank all 3 of you for the encouragement, the acknowledgement, and the challenge. Really appreciate that, and very valid points. I think with Mr. Boniface, we had a short conversation before, and I'll be looking forward to have another one afterwards, because we need to establish some facts here to help as well. And I appreciate, dividend is something any investor is expecting back, right? Don't get me wrong. We are all doing that. it is 2 years that it hasn't been paid, and unfortunately, it's not great. We're not saying that we want to be forgiven for not paying, but and it's only because of what has been happening in Nigeria in terms of the forex situation and the negative net asset position that we found ourselves. So, with as Mr. Patrick said, continuing on the 3 bullet points he mentioned there, the determination of the team of PZ Cussons Nigeria to continue seeing forward, and any interventions we need to do in order to overcome the shareholder debt that we have at this moment in time and the loans, that will be the way that will set us in the path of recovery and be able to report quarter-on-quarter profit and one day pay dividend as well. Some specific elements, and again, I refer back, is the technology of solar. It has been mentioned a couple of times. That's something both our supply chain director as well as commercial head for Thermocool has been reviewing, because there are opportunities, but again, the scope of that opportunity may be limited because of the technology of solar that is available at this moment in time and the cost that one will represent to the consumer. In the commercial here, we are already bringing some technology, not solar related, but to show that we are trying to reduce energy consumption, we're trying to reduce cost for the family, and that is the inverter technology. So solar is in the radar, but obviously we want the industry as well to be at the right place so that the two together can work from a performance point of view as well as cost point of view to the business and the company overall. I think you mentioned there was a question about the volume and the value. As we also indicated in the recent publication, there was a volume drop in the half year. And this was on the back of the price increases, the aggressive price increases that we need to do. Now, how we take that volume drop is never a good news for any businesses, because it means less consumers bought those products. But equally, if you allow me the expression in inverted commas, it's not as bad news, because the share of our brands did not reduce during this period. It was the category size that actually was impacted overall. So it's less consumers buy into this category. The brands remain very strong, and we believe as the momentum of the economy changes, we'll be able to be in a position to actually report both value and volume growth in the quarters ahead. So that's what obviously everybody within the commercial team, supply chain teams of PZ Cussons has been working on. I'm not sure, maybe what else? Something else may? So Nigerian MD, yes, is a good point to say. So, yes. So again, if you refer to the annual report, you might see that Ogale Lueni is our managing director for our family care business. Ebenezer is now our CFO for Nigeria business. So overall, PZ Cussons is looking to give opportunities to the local talent to grow within the PZ Cussons. There are more opportunities, and your challenge is always very healthy, and we'll try to do better than that. But equally, we are trying to do a lot more work with the local talent, give the local talent opportunities to continue to develop, be it in Nigeria or outside Nigeria. Some of our colleagues over the years have moved to other places as well to work for PZ Cussons there. And we'll continue doing more and more and more of that. And at the end of the day, as PZ Cussons International Group, they will be looking for opportunities for talent of different genders, different nationalities, different everything, to be able to help those individuals develop. And it could be that sometimes opportunities for those individuals are to come and work in Nigeria, or Nigerian colleagues to work overseas. So everything will be done with meritocracy in mind, and with the aim to continue growing the business for the interest of stakeholders, including investors. And you picked that I did not say, but I did say. And at the very end, I said that profitable, sustainable growth for all stakeholders of PZ Cussons. So we cannot have investors excluded in that equation, right? You are here to challenge us, to support us, to motivate us, to help us. Because equally, in your own ways, in your own connections, your own network, the cost pressures, as we described earlier, that we feel is to help this be part of the conversation outside, to see how we can protect the consumers from the high inflation rates. But as always, We are thankful for the challenge, thankful because it will make us better. And we'll work together for better results for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the management of PZ Cussons. Perhaps you might have further questions. You might want to meet with them after this event. For the closing remarks, may I please invite the doyen of the market, Sam Ndata. A round of applause for him, please. Thank you.
To thank the exchange for providing this platform for PZ to come and express themselves. And I'm happy for PZ for coming here today, and I appreciate them and also sympathize with them in their condition. And I would say where a child is crying and pointing hand at a particular direction, if the mother is not there, the father must be there. Everybody that has spoken today has said FS, FS, FS. In case you don't know where your problem is coming from, you have to think about it as you go home. And I want to tell you that advice is not a cost. So all the advice you have taken here, take them home and work on it. And let's see how it will go. Because I know it will end well. Thinking about running away, that one will not help you. When there is a hardship in a land, some people who are not matured enough will want to run away. It happened in the land of the animal. When there was a famine in the land of the animal, the pussycat ran away from the bush and came to the home. I is still living at home, killing rat. That's what he's doing at home, killing rat. So it's not well. He cannot settle. And I want to say that if the tree is not dancing well, the breeze will help it to dance. All these men you have seen here and women you have seen here today, they've given you their heart, how they think. It is left for you to take it home and know what to do with it. If you send me to work on your farm, I can only go there as a jobber and work and come back. It is you that will go back to your farm to clean it up and keep it to the standard you want. And I want to say that it is a person that is very close to you that will know the type of perfume you wear. Like as I'm sitting close to this lady, she will know the type of perfume I'm wearing. It is only on this floor, this platform you have come today, that will tell you how to solve your problem. And if you say you can get it from elsewhere and other this thing, and they will tell you possibly to do sacrifice. After doing sacrifice, the problem will not be solved. But here, we'll just tell you the answer to your problem, and it will be solved. And he that doesn't know how to dance, or that dances well, is the onlooker that say you are dancing well or you are not dancing well. The brokers and the shareholders you have, that is very, very good. If you don't have good shareholders, they cannot follow you to this place, because for quite a while, somebody that have not eaten, you have not paid them dividend, they cannot follow you around. They say the dog follows those that have fat stomach, because if they don't shit, they must vomit. And those are the food of the dog. So since you have not paid good dividend, you don't have fat stomach. but they are still following you. You should know that it's because they love you. They want to be with you. So treat them well. Do well and take all these advices. It will work for you. For the sake of evening service, I'll end the catechism now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doyen. Another round of applause for the Doyen. Thank you. And on that note, we bring those facts behind the figures by the PZ Cussons Nigeria PLC to a close. A very big thank you to everyone for joining us today. We hope to see you some other time at the exchange. Please, may I request that you remain where you are for pictures. My name is Ayamide Oguntoye, and I'll see you some other time. Thank you.